Good morning, everyone. This is Nicole. I'm back and I wanted to discuss Millennials and the Luddites. So, I did a video recently about AI and how they're already talking about that they want to give them civil rights, some form of civil rights in the workplace, which I call straight BS. But it's also an indication of how you will be replaced in the workforce. And I have a picture of clownfish here because to me the clownfish represent the failure to evolve and adapt. Their adaptation only really allows for them to hide amongst a sea anemone, as you see here. But a sea anemone has several predators such as sea turtles, starfish, butterfly fish, and many others that attack sea anemones and able to bite off their tentacles, therefore removing the protection for a clownfish to hide under. Clownfish are small, they travel in large groups, but they're picked off very easily. They don't have a well-known ability to protect themselves, and even if they were able to protect themselves, they choose to run and hide and find a sea anemone to hide up under. And I'm presenting the clownfish as an example of that failure to adapt. Their coloration is not even that adaptive. They are similar in my mind to a millennial, and I could be wrong. Y'all have to let me know. But they're one of the organisms I'm thinking of that are similar to a millennial. If I was a shark looking at a clownfish, a shark being Gen Xer or a millennial with some damn sense, and I see a clownfish, I'm just gonna laugh and eat your ass up. And I think that's what happened yesterday and Saturday as well with a lot of these millennial males and even millennial females that run up and get done up. In the case of nature, as I spoke of earlier today, this morning on my live stream, you can get run up and get done up. In nature, you get run up and done up, meaning you get eaten or stomped the hell out. So there are a few articles that I wanted to focus on. Like here, there's an article about animals, what kinds of animals at sea eat sea anemone. And you got snails, sea slugs, sea stars, other types of fish like the mosshead sculpin, sea turtles, and so forth that eat sea anemone. So that's destroying your ability. That's destroying your ability to have protection, to have an environment that is built to protect you. It's not going to protect you, and you have to be prepared for that. And the similarities between the millennials that I see that are so resistant to change and resistant to tradition is change to them. They're resistant to that. But a new tradition is emerging with technology, and the Luddites were resistant to that and still are. The neo-Luddites are as well. Not only that, but the millennials are resistant to even being respectful. Tradition also lies in respect and understanding the hierarchy of needs concept. Part of that is also about respecting your elders and respecting those who came before you. Not even ones who are older than you, but people who have more experience than you that are in your same generation. I'm sorry, I digress. So, let's move on. The Luddites were similar because they refused to get on board with new technologies emerging and wanted to keep things the same while saying they agreed with progress. which is very disrespectful to those around you who want to see their lives improved. And usually with improvement comes a lot of a learning curve comes with that. But at the end of that stage of the learning curve and the transition into an easier lifestyle, you have more comfort. You have the ability to not work as hard, not labor as much as we did in the past. The work becomes more efficient, but with so much resistance from the millennials and neo-Luddites out here, you see a separation, I should say. There's distress, but there's a separation between those of us who see this coming and are taking part in it and finding success in that system that's coming. It's emerging now. I mean, it's been emerging for a few decades, but now it's really reaching a point where you're not going to go back. So same traditions and principles and standards stay the same, but the way that we apply knowledge is going to change. And the millennials are very resistant. They're fearful because they pussy out like the clownfish. So here's a cartoon of a Luddite leader dressed as a woman. It's a caricature, but this is one of the most famous paint. It's a picture of a painting comparing the Luddites to the mobs of the French Revolution, where the leaders dressed as women at the storming of the Bastille and visit to the Versailles in order to avoid being beat down by the royal soldiers. So you had basically cops out there and military, and these fools thought they could come against the military, just like the millennial that was in the Manosphere Mania yesterday, who was talking mess about going in the military. He didn't want to go in the military. How you gonna go against the military by yourself? Not only that, but this man and his friends tried to go against the military dressed as a woman. So there's another fish that does stuff like that to try to circumvent just being a man and being masculine. It's called a cuttlefish. Shout out to Freeze Love for this analogy. He said there's two types of male cuttlefish. There's a cuttlefish that is a man that gets all the women. And there's another type of cuttlefish that tries to pretend he ain't so masculine, and he actually takes on some of the characteristics of a female to get close to the females, get their attention, and then he will, try to mate with them, and some of the women let him. That's a fucking simp. So in my opinion, a lot of these dudes that dressed up as women as the Luddites back in the day, not only were they trying to get sympathy from the cops, so they were like, I dress as a woman, they won't beat my ass. Not only that, but they were getting sympathy from women too back in the day, which is really messed up. But you ain't gonna win like that, because no matter what you try to do, you're gonna have issues. You still have to face reality, and that's the main similarity between the millennials and the Luddites. If you don't want to face reality, you gonna get left the hell behind. Dressing up like a woman, or wearing your pants sagging off your ass, or wearing tight ass skinny jeans or skinny leggings. I see dudes out here with leggings on, and I'm like, what? And a tight ass t-shirt on. It's raining out here now, right now. So you see dudes with skinny jeans on and some Ugg boots looking like a 6th grade girl walking around here. I don't want to see the print of your nuts and your leggings. You look like a heifer, like a girl. Take that shit off. That's example of a person who's not ready. A millennial who's not ready. But these major technology and movements, as they say here, they'll be active in the U.S. and elsewhere by 2030. I think earlier than that, because this statement was made by Francis Collins, head of the Human Genome Project, back in 2001. You don't need to look to the future to find movements of people acting on their deep ambivalences about technological innovation. When you had the Luddite movement began as an uprising during the British Industrial Revolution over 200 years ago, people have opposed the arrival of new and disruptive technologies that threaten to change the way they work and live. And see, this is one of the main points, and I'm going to go on because I'm going to leave a link to this in the description box for you to go through, is right here when they say, though historians now believe the Luddite movement wasn't necessarily anti-technology in nature. In fact, their main complaint was a lack of opportunity among the labor force. A lack of opportunity. They weren't against technology. They were against a lack of opportunity in the labor force that existed at that time. But what they didn't realize is that at that time, the labor force was going to have to go into industrial revolution because we live in a capitalistic system, and that was a capitalistic system as well. And so being against the fact there's no opportunities, that's against technology in a way, because you're dealing with farming that's changing, you're dealing with industry that's changing, shipping and distribution that's changing, the production and procurement of different materials that need to be made at that time, that's changing. In my mind, you're against progress and you're against change. The dodo bird went the way of the dinosaur because it didn't evolve. It didn't change. It didn't have the necessary resources in order to change. It's gone. It's extinct now. The clownfish is still around because it's high in number, but if it keeps doing what it's doing, it could go extinct. You know, it's the same across the board for any group. And the clownfish is just one example. That's just a proxy for any other group that doesn't want to change and make the best of its situation with the changing times. So this article, as you can see, is pretty long. I'm going to go, like I said earlier, to this other article. And here it is. So, Rebels Against the Future from Reason.com. This was published February 28th, 2001. Witnessing the birth of the global anti-technology movement. So they had the American Association for the Advancement of Sciences, the AAAS. Francis Collins was the head of the Human Genome Project, and he made a disturbing claim about the future. He said that major anti-technology movements will be active in the U.S. and elsewhere by 2030. Elsewhere meant China and Japan, as we see now, as well as Germany. He predicted when he made his prediction, he was off by 3 decades. So they say here, they went to this technology conference. And when one of the speakers revealed shocking truths about corporations, I'm right here reading, he always invoked, quote, when they went to this conference, let me come down some. Oh, okay. They went to this conference. Whenever one of the speakers revealed shocking truths about corporations, they always said they for the corporations. The audience would murmur in horrified dismay. They can move genes between species, or they are patenting genes, or they have 1,200 nanotech patents. It seems that few of the attendees had bothered to read a paper for the past few years, so all of the information they were given was news to them. They may call themselves progressives, but they certainly have not been keeping up with progress. And that was very clear at that meeting. And they come down here and they say, what are you afraid of? They generally fear technology's symbiotic relationship with corporate power, according to Mander. He doesn't much care for the internet because he thinks it's facilitating the greatest centralization of unregulated corporate power in history. Besides the internet, now we have biotechnology and its younger sibling, nanotechnology, which can potentially redesign nature from the atomic level up. And you can check out Soul Alchemy, one of her last videos, where she talked about the black man who invented the cell phone. You can go check that out. With these technologies, nothing will be outside of corporate control. They will achieve the full realization of a bionic society. I also came to you with the video last year where I discussed DARPA and a lot of the technologies they have there, where you can go look for yourself. But in all, what I see is a bunch of kids, when you're comparing the Luddites to the millennials, you have a bunch of people who pussy. I'm just gonna say it, who don't want to see anything change. And that's not possible. Every day you have changes within your body that happen. The weather changes from day to day. It hasn't rained out here for a while, and all of a sudden it's been raining for like the past week or so. So you have to adapt. The three main concepts of life: you adapt, you migrate, or you die. If you don't do the first two, you will die. If you don't do one of the first two, you will die. Every day you make adaptations. You driving down 405 and some dumbass gets in front of you and it's raining. You're going to adapt by slowing down so you don't skid off the road, or you're going to adapt by getting in another lane. Adaptation just means a change, an alteration, a transformation, making a new decision, being presented with different challenges that you have to overcome and face. And a lot of the millennials don't want to do that. They want to depend. It's a very schizophrenic, bipolar way to look at it, because they want to depend on the Gen Xers and older millennials to do the work for them. But then they turn around and shit on us at the same time, which is very feminine, might I add. If you a dude out there as a millennial and you hear this, you hear me talking, and you do that type of thing, you make those types of decisions, I'm just going to tell you right now, dude, that's a pussy ass move to make. If you're a female out there doing that type of stuff, you ain't going to find no man, because you weak as hell. And we can't have no weak people having kids out here. That's just not something that we can have anymore. We can't afford to have people out here that's weak. They're not willing to put themselves, under the grind and do what's necessary. And we're not even asking you to do what's necessary for your whole generation. We're asking you to do what's necessary, the bare minimum. Do what's necessary for you and yours. Because from there, it'll bleed out into the rest of the community. And other people will see that and take that at challenge. Take your example and run with it. They talk about how computers are colonizing technology. You've seen AN 411, you've seen BGS channel, you've seen other people's channels where they're talking about technology and the fact that it's not slowing down. Newsflash, it ain't going nowhere. So I'm going to run through before I get off of here. A lot of it with the millennials and the Luddites is fear and laziness. Just pure ignorance, not knowing where they come from and not knowing what is expected of them in the future. Being weak and effeminate, that's not going to get you anywhere. Failing to recognize an opportunity for change. Even though you're being flashy, that's annoying. On the street, when you flashy, flashy and sassy, you get the hands first. Because when people get flashy, they get real cocky. And like I said in my live, you run up, you get done up. And when you look at that compared to the clownfish, you're easily consumed. And I just hope that young people out here don't let this system consume them. I hope that they're able to see the errors in their ways and to be able to change that before it's too late. I know a lot of people don't have faith in the younger people and everything, but I still have faith in them because, you know, people have faith in me. People have faith in the people, the older millennials out here. You know, people have faith in us that we would do the right thing, and we are. You know, we're doing our best. But I would like to, you know, leave y'all. I'll leave the links. I would like y'all to think about this concept. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And I'm out. Y'all have a great day. Peace.